Hello and welcome to volume 187 of My Prostate is Trying to Kill Me. I'm Mark Graves, just a regular guy fighting prostate cancer, and I'm so happy to have you along. And today I'm especially happy because I got a special guest I'm going to be able to interview. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Mr. Lou Gaedt. And I met Lou through the Zoom call that we do on Wednesdays. Prostate cancer warriors, we get together and talk about what's happening in our lives, our treatment, our diagnosis. Just a support group, really, kind of for guys with prostate cancer. And I've met some amazing human beings on there, and Lou is one of them. So, Lou, I'll just give him a real quick synopsis of what's going on. You're fighting prostate cancer. You are going to be involved in a bike ride to raise money. You're going to be for the Yale Cancer Center and for the, I'm probably not pronouncing this right, Smilo Cancer Hospital?
Correct.
Fantastic. So let's start off, give everybody just a real quick background of what you're dealing with. When were you diagnosed with PC?
So, Mark, 2018, like all of us, just, an ordinary day, a trip to my annual urologist. My dad had prostate cancer, so I was having my PSA checked. And year after year, Lou, you're fine. We'll see you next year. And then I came in 1 year in 2018, and well, it seems to be something's going on here. Maybe just be a urinary tract infection. The PSA went from 3.8 to 8.2. And then with some further investigation, we went to see a surgeon, and we had a second PSA test, and it had risen again. And the next thing what kind of went downhill from there. And in my case, all my early information was not good. So it went from you might have cancer, you do have cancer, you have cancer everywhere, and the cancer has actually left the prostate. So we got some biopsies, and the biopsies were 12 out of 12 cores, inside, outside, and a Gleason 9, which we talk about with its advanced stage cancer. Really hard time for us, as we discussed last night. We have a menu of choices. We're not given clear direction, so a tough time trying to figure out which is the right course. So I was very lucky, had a great surgeon, and he knew right off the bat that it had metastasized. And I didn't really have all of that information up front. There was a likelihood of it. So it turned into a lymphectomy, prostatectomy. 21 lymph nodes were removed also. 13 of them were positive. We still had the Gleason 9. But, and then I left the table from surgery with positive margins. So right off the bat, we knew we didn't get it all. And, at that time it was, let's make a move to one of the big research hospitals, and try to find the best in the country and to move from there. So I went to Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York City, and it was funny, my original surgeon, they pulled the chart up, and where you are, in the old school logs and graphs, he said you were looking at, 3 years, 3 solid years, and who knows from there. And I got to New York, and we've got more technology, more things at our fingertips, and I think we can get you 10 years. So where do I sign? And so I started my treatment in New York City in 2018 with a rising PSA 3 months after surgery. And so back then in 2018, I had the PSMA PET scan, which was given in New York City at the time as a trial. Of course, it's just recently been FDA approved. So I had it in 2018. So we found one hot lymph node. It's pretty interesting. Lights up like a Christmas tree. You can't really miss where the cancer was. And some cancer still potentially in the prostate bed. So 48 radiation treatments in New York City. But my story really kind of developed there. The first benefit I had was I stayed at the American Cancer Society Hope Lodge in Manhattan. So right off the bat, the generosity of others, giving to the cancer organizations out there helped me. I stayed in Manhattan for 40 days, for 2 months, 40 treatments, 5 a week. And I went home on the weekends. And I got, this is kind of linked into my cycling. I grabbed a junk old bike that I had in the garage. I really was not a cyclist. I was a worker. I worked all the time in the summers. And I grabbed this beat up cyclist, watched the YouTube how how to get around New York City, and off I went. And I had actually never been to New York City. And so it was quite an adventure. It was actually an unbelievable experience. So right off the bat, I stayed at a Hope Lodge with probably 40 other cancer patients. So what an event that was. Sharing the experiences and, soup to nuts on the treatment, the same way we are with prostate cancer. We have, surveillance all the way up to advanced metastatic cancer. So it turned out that it was a great experience. It was a very spiritual, emotional, journey through New York City. I met a local church, was able to serve in a bread line on some free time, because I wasn't working, obviously. So, I made the best out of the experience, and it surely was. On the last day there, I was able to see Andre Bocelli, in the Madison Square Garden, and off from New York I went. So I completed 18 months of the ADT cocktail of prednisone, Zytiga, and Degarelix. And then, they cut me loose and we went on the, let's follow the testosterone and the PSA level, right? So, you have no testosterone, and as the ADT wears off, your testosterone comes back, and if they have it, as the testosterone rises, and the PSA does not rise, then we got it. So I had literally 9 months to close to a year of NED, and I really wore that proudly. I had no evidence of disease for like 9 months. And then recently, in January of this year, the PSA began to rise. And that's almost as tough of a point of our journey as the original diagnosis, because, there's hope that you can catch it and that you can get it. And then one day, and you go from zero education, when I didn't even know what a PSA was. When I was in my urologist, I had to go home and Google it. And, you get some education, and when it comes back, then, it's back for good, more or less. It's something that we'll have to deal with. You have to stay on the hope side, because, people have, can live a long time. There's, again, soup to nuts. Some of us, our journey is short, and some of us, our journey is quite lengthy. I remember, so I query everybody when I go into the doctor's office, and especially in MSK, they have a whole building for prostate cancer. And I think it's genealogy cancer or something to that effect. It's called the Kimball Building in New York. So it's all prostate cancer. And, one day I found somebody that was on ADD for 20 years. My wife got a quick phone call. Wow. I just met a fellow that's been treated for 20 years in the same boat that we are. How promising was that? And, but back from the original diagnosis in 2018, one of the first things that I said, and it's just part of my makeup, is, what can I do? What's my part? Kind of like the Verizon commercial with the team in the background, what can I do to help out? And so, we talk about it. So it's, well, first of all, it's state of mind and hope, right? To be on the positive side and not the negative side, to try to put some exercise into your body, to try to get your body as healthy as it can. And, and part of that is eating. And then, so, I would a little bit of cycling in New York, and I knew that there was a local, regional, very big cancer benefit cycle through my local group, which is the Yale New Haven. I'm in southeastern Connecticut, and Smilo, and all my local friends go through this hospital. They are the regional support. I was not. I was just, I was in New York, and my treatment took me there, and that's where it was. But my home is here. And it really became a way of life. I went from not riding to 5 miles worth of riding to, an old junk bike to a second used $500, road bike, a 2005 Trek, that was not beat up too bad. And I fell in love with the cycling part. A good friend of mine, was interested in cycling, and he was, I think, as much interested in being a friend to me, and following along and being my comrade on my journey. So my good friend Todd Frechette and we took to the countrysides of Connecticut to see if we could figure out how to ride 65 miles one day. So am I okay? Is my time dragging too long?
No, I will interject here though, that I've been interviewing people for 30 years in my career, and you're the perfect interview. I give you a question and away you go. And it's so entrancing. I mean, I've heard most of this before, but I never get tired of hearing this story. So please continue on.
Yeah. So, 5 miles. Wow, that was great. 10 miles. Oh my gosh, 20 miles. So in 2018, under ADT, I went to my first ever cancer benefit. So right off the bat, you're contributing, you're doing something to help other people, you're benefiting yourself, and I get emotional just thinking about it. So, so it was September 11th, and they used to use Yale Bowl, which was a football stadium, and now they use the parking lot right outside, and it was a big organization. The sun was coming up. So the first 100 milers kick off at 7 o'clock. So 6 o'clock in the morning, they started the event. And in 2018, there was over 2,000 cyclists that were there as cancer patients. They were there to support people that had passed away. They were there to support their buddies. My good friend Todd was with me, and I cried almost the whole way. It was just that emotional. There was a speaker up on the stage. There was another, cancer patient on the stage. They had a little bicycle that they all put names on, and you said a little prayer, and off we went into the countryside. We rode by the local cancer hospital. All the patients that came out to the road to support us, because really the funds that we raise, go to people that don't have, enough insurance. Some of it goes into research, but most of it really goes into the care of the patient, and all of the sidebar things, not only the treatments, the associated, counseling, and, everything that we need for the journey, family help, et cetera, et cetera. So what a great resource. And we made it. We made the 65 miles, cramping, et cetera. But all along the way, these are the people that loved the outdoors, that love the cause, they're riding for their mom or their sister or their brother or themselves. And in this particular event, the routes are publicized. You're riding by houses where people's family have cancer. I mean, cancer affects everybody. And so, signs, whistling, and, when I crossed the finish line, my family was there. It's this is a family thing, but part of this, is to show that we're strong, that you have cancer, and you can be strong. I never got more haircuts than when I had cancer, to try to, not pretend that I'm okay, but, to be strong, to show that, I'm positive, even if I might not believe it, but I'm going to pretend it enough that I do believe it, because you do believe it, but you have days where you don't believe it, we all know that story. And so awesome. And then it became a way of life. So, it was great. 2019 was virtual, which was a different experience. So we're like, hey, let's do the ride out of our house. So, it's a community based, the cyclist, and they're all, healthy, doing the right things. Next thing you know, I had 20 people ride out of my house, and my wife was able to, became a family thing. My wife was able to support the ride, and it's funny. And as I look back to this group of 20 people, there's 1, 2, there's 3, there's now 4 of us that have been or have prostate cancer out of the group of 20. Another with thyroid cancer. That's how much it affects. So last year we rode the 65 miles from my house. I had young nieces and nephews ride with us. It was just really a positive experience. And the cycling has been a way, way of life for me. It's my little outdoor get go. It's a way to keep exercise. And, with some, fast forward now, I'm back on the ADT, and exercise is so important for our frame of mind. We know that as soon as, the needle goes in and the drug goes in, the muscles go away. So, it's part of my daily schedule now. I still work, so I have to have time for work. I have to have time for a nap, and I have to have time to cycle. I have to have time to love my wife, love my new grandchild, maybe get a few things done around the house. Before you know it, I'm exhausted and I haven't really done anything, but I've done a real lot. And, so it's a very, very full day.
And I'll just point out here that for people who are not familiar with the ADT that we're talking about, it's the hormone therapy, and it's the same thing that I do. We get our shot every 3 months or 6 months, depending. Some guys get it every month, and it depletes the testosterone in our bodies, so it stops that hormone from working, which automatically makes our bodies overproduce estrogen. So, what Lou's talking about is you instantly start losing muscle, and it's difficult. I don't care how hard you try to hide it. It's real difficult for a man to look in the mirror and see where, we used to have guns and the guns aren't there anymore. It's difficult. And I just want to get the point across that what Lou is doing is basically superhuman. To be able to fight against not having testosterone and to continue to ride. And you've only talked about your 65 miles, but you're actually going to be riding 100 miles for the Cancer Society.
Yeah, that's correct. So, if it's good for you, then let's do more. The old saying goes. So we've increased our training, and we're at the point where we should be able to make 100 miles this year. How awesome!
That'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
And our buddy Dennis is going to ride with you as well, right? He's going to do the 65 ride.
Yeah. So the fingers they go way out. So the prostate Zoom group, actually Dennis was a friend of ours, helped me out immensely in the beginning. We became close friends. He had been on the journey before me, and that's what we do. He shared some information and we became really close friends. And now, we're sharing this bond of riding together. He started his training. He runs this awesome Zoom group that I'm sure you've mentioned in the past that helps, so many people. And Dennis will be riding with us this year, for the first time. And, I think back to 2 weeks ago in our Zoom meeting, we had our friend, I think, Wayne from Canada.
Yes.
And he's, his goal is to come down here to Connecticut and ride with us in the upcoming year. So how cool is that?
Yeah.
So.
Well, and the thing is too, is that I'm on the opposite coast, being out here in California, and I'm in no condition to be able to ride. I don't know. I might be able to pull off, half a mile downhill. I have my little e-bike that I ride around, but I felt like I wanted to contribute. I wanted to be a part of this somehow. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is where I'm going to ask you, and I've never done this before. I've never, ever brought this up on the channel, but I'm donating to this financially because that's what I can do. I can't ride a bike. I can't be here with the guys when they're going to do it. So my way to support it is to help raise money, which is what we're doing. We're raising money for the Yale Cancer Center and for the Smilo Cancer Hospital. So what you can do, and I'm just going to share the screen real quick, and we'll show you where you can go. Okay, and I'll put the actual web address too in the comment section below, and I'll probably put it on the screen here. But it's rideclosertofree.org, and then you'll find the page that's specifically for Lou right here. Okay, so there's the third year that he's doing it, and his goal is 2,500. He's at 1,920 raised right now. So I would love to see that 2,500 get nailed. And when you go to make your donation, it's super simple to do, completely safe. This is, out of donation sites, this is probably the quickest and the fastest response. Sometimes you make a donation, it takes a little bit before you get an email back and you're like, wow, where did my money go? This was instantaneous. As soon as I finished making the donation, I got the confirmation email, everything came through. So feel free to donate whatever you guys can donate on this and support Lou and the ride that he's going to do. And like I said, I'll have the address in the comment section or the description below so that you can click on that and go. And the ride, Lou, is going to be on September 11th.
That's correct, Mark. September 11th. Yep. Starts in Yale, New Haven, Smilo, right? It's a combination Yale, Smilo Cancer Center in downtown New Haven, Connecticut.
Okay. And he's going to be riding 100 miles in this. And is there a way, I think I heard you talking about the other day on the Zoom call, that we can track your progress on the day of the race?
Yes. So then there are a couple, we use this one app called Strava, and then I think we can use Google Maps too. So I can make that available, Mark, and maybe we can share it to the group so that you can follow during the day. That would be awesome.
That would be great. And like I said, I never ask you guys to do this kind of stuff, but this is just something that hit my heart, and I wanted to be able to help out, and I'd love it if you guys could help us out as well. It's pretty incredible. And the point I just want to get across is that being on ADT, it just wipes out our bodies. It really does. I mean, you've seen my videos where I do almost nothing in a day and I end up sleeping on the couch. I did it yesterday. Did a video in the morning and talked about a couple of things I had done. I laid down in the afternoon at probably, 3 maybe on the couch, and I woke up at 7. I mean, it's just that quick. I was gone. I had no energy left. So to be able to get on a bicycle and ride 100 miles is pretty incredible. So this is my way of getting behind this. And the cool thing too is that both Lou and Dennis are going to, how do I word this? We were talking about it on the Zoom call. I'm going to be on Lou's back during the ride. So he's going to have our names on his t-shirt or his riding shirt, jersey, there's the right word. And then also on the handlebars. And Dennis is going to be doing that as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. Even though I'm not going to be there, I still get to be, my name will be there. I'll be zipping along, and my spirit will be there as well. So Lou, I thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. God bless you for what you're doing. And you're just a hero in my book to be able to do this, especially, being under the ADT. And I'll be praying for your progress and for us to be able to meet that goal. I find the words difficult to grasp to say how impressed I am with this and how much value this is going to have. And I know how hard this is going to be for you. So I'm going to have my little banner out, and I'll be rooting for you on the 11th and following you along. You'll be with us, Mark, and everyone will be with us, just as you mentioned that day. That's fantastic. And then you're going to continue to do this, right? Every year that you're able to do, you'll keep doing this. That's right. That's fantastic. Correct. That is fantastic. Well, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. And just one other point too, as I've always said, cancer sucks. If I didn't have to get it, if I could do it over again and not get it, I wouldn't. But I'm a silver lining kind of guy. And here is one of my silver linings. I have met incredible people through having cancer. And I wish we could have become friends some other way, but it is what it is. So God bless you. God bless you, Lou. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you sitting through this. And like I said, I never ask you guys for anything like this, but this is important. And I would so greatly appreciate it. I appreciate all your prayers, your positive vibes, your good thoughts, your aloha, your shaka, everything you send this way. And along with sending that, maybe just send a couple of bucks to Lou's website. Like I said, the information will be in the video description below. Click on the link and be as generous as you possibly can. Lou would appreciate it. I'll appreciate it. The Lord's going to appreciate it. So thank you so much.